Command control is something we've been working on for almost about 3 years now. We've started off as a skunkworks product, just taking feedback from our customers and the things that they're asking for. And the left-hand side is a lot what people are asking for in the industry. They're looking for the real-time aspect of, how can I have a help desk user jump into a user's desktop without having to control the screen, just pull it up, look at it real time. So we've got real-time metrics as a really big ask in the industry, and the product is pulling these real-time metrics every 3 seconds. It's pretty impressive. It's able to do that with almost little to no overhead on the machine. We have real-time remediation. There's a lot of different options there. We've got scripting, we've got PowerShell command prompts. We've got some automatic remediation coming here shortly around near the beta time frame. And we've got a DVR, which I think is really unique in that we've got 30 days history that is a 10-second sample. 10-second sample, 100% of all processes on the system. So we're looking at everything on the system when it comes to what's happening. And the other unique thing about the real time and the DVR is we have threshold violations. If you look in the right-hand side, that Ethernet box, that's a VPN connection, the latency is higher than I would like, than I set the thresholds for. So it's being highlighted as red. And so the highlighting of the data happens when it violates, even in real-time mode every 3 seconds on the screen live. We'll show that here in a second. Also, it goes back and it's also tagging the data as it ingests it for that 10-second sample and that 5-minute callback of that data for the DVR history. So we're pretty excited about everything we hear. We've got diagnostics in here as well, so you can really give the power of the standard diagnostic tools that a level 1 help desk or operations person might need. But then you've got a level 3 access if you need PowerShell and scripting and you want to upload your own scripts or pull scripts from our scripting library. So let's go ahead and jump into a demo of command control here. So this is my command control interface. This is actually my laptop that I'm logged into now. I do have a mobile lab, so it is a pretty hefty machine. We'll show a virtual machine as well with not as good resources. So if I start from the left and right and continue down, on the left-hand side, I've got my system properties for this machine. The machine name, if it's part of the domain, mine is Azure AD joined only, not NT domain, so I don't have a domain. I've got the CPU information, the Windows version, the manufacturer, the BIOS. I've got all the things that are pretty important to kind of do in hardware troubleshooting, especially when the new norm is maybe hybrid workforce and half is at home and half is in the office, or half the week, half and half, or half the staff in general. I can take actions if the user's really stuck and I can't do any remote controls and it's just really just having a hard time. I can shut down and restart the machine, have them power it back on remotely from here. I have location information. Where are you located? What ISP are you on? So I can figure out, are you at Starbucks? Are you at McDonald's? And that's why you're having performance issues in general. Then you get sessions. If this was a multi-user machine, I would see all the users on the multi-user machine. I can take action against this user. I can actually log this user off. I can view their environment variables. That was just a freebie we threw in there, but we use it for certain things. I can view that user's environment variables. Then I can take remote control. If I can't remediate it from the interface of the product, I have 3 different ways I can take remote control. And the reason we did this was a couple different reasons. Quick Assist is real quick and easy. It's built into Windows 10. It only works on Windows 10 to Windows 10. The administrator has to have a Microsoft account to use it, but it's free and it's built in. Has some basic limitations built in. Remote Assist is the built-in old Microsoft direct point-to-point. You have to have it enabled. We actually automate all of that. We automate the entire enabling of the remote assist. We open up the firewall temporarily. We actually take the special file that gets created. We transfer it to the web interface of the admin to be able to open it and just double click it. So we automate every piece of this end to end. Even in our teleconference feature, which we provide for free, when you click on the teleconference feature for a user, it opens the browser tab for them and forces them to join the meeting automatically. So there's no worrying about having the end user fumble to find these tools. We open everything up in the user's face and the instructions are right on the screen of what they should do next. I think half the battle is trying to find the remote control tool. The other half the battle is if it's out of sync or out of version is updating it. If you're using TeamViewer, it's old version of TeamViewer, they're not in sync. You got to walk somebody through trying to uninstall, reinstall. These are all built in, or the teleconference. Now, the teleconference feature has one unique benefit as well, to where I can be on a Mac as an admin and control an end user's machine. in that scenario. So it makes it, the admins want to use a Mac, they can. Right now, everything I'm doing here only works on Windows. Mac and Linux will come in the future for the technology. I've got my top consumers here. I can see who's using the most CPU, the most memory, the most disk, and most network. I can also just terminate a process right here, and it'll terminate the process pretty quickly. We'll do that in a little bit. I come down a little bit further, I get my overall CPU consumption, overall memory usage. I get all my disk information. I get my network. I get my GPU information. The goal was for us to create, Task Manager plus plus in a way, outside of remediation. When it comes to this kind of dashboard, this is what Task Manager gives you and what a lot of people understand. What's interesting about the product as well is it's real time. You see things moving. It's collecting every 3 seconds. There's different metrics moving live on the screen, and there's hardly any CPU. Go to meetings taking most of my CPU now, 6% of 8 cores. And so if you notice from a CPU, from a disk perspective, there's a couple VHDs attached. One is for Docker, but there's another one for that Flex app that I didn't unmount. I could come back in and I actually can stop that Flex app, and that disk will disappear off the screen because it's going to be unmounted. That disk is gone on the screen. The screen readjusted itself. Same thing applies if I go ahead and connect to my Wi-Fi. We'll go ahead and connect to the Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi card is going to come in here, and now it's going to show me, what does it look like signal strength wise? What is my latency in my home network? The home network has become an extension of the enterprise network now that we have so much work from home. So having these metrics are paramount to making sure you can have good user experience. I could go back in time and say, Susan was really far away from the access point. The signal strength was low, latency was high. Well, she needs to get closer to access point and reorganize where she sits in the house to actually work, right? And so I can look at all these metrics. I've got my latency for the gateway. I've got my speed and performance. I've got all the metrics I need. The product is live. There's no page refreshes. There's no waiting for data to refresh on the screen. It just happens. If we come up to the top left, we really get some powerful tools up here. One of them is a shell. I get actual PowerShell command prompt to this machine. Now, let me be clear about how this works. This is all outbound to the cloud. This is a SaaS solution to the cloud. There's no on-prem appliances. There's no on-prem security posture that has to change on this device for me to do this. I'm not using PowerShell remoting. I'm not using WinRM. None of that is being used here. I can do my normal functions with tabs and get plug and play devices and list them all in a machine. It's very responsive. I could switch to CMD. I could do a directory here. I can switch. Everything is very responsive when it comes to the ability for you to troubleshoot and remediate. Remediation is not always a performance issue. Remediation can always be a configuration or a version or a file or directory or some other type of problem. If you can, throw a PowerShell script in here, PowerShell command in here, you could solve the problem in this case. We move to the right, I can see that I'm at home on a laptop, logged in, my user is J Mattox. That may or may not be my corporate name, but regardless of the device at home, it could be a home device, it could be a kiosk, the corporate device might be in the cloud or somewhere else on-prem, and I'm at home over VPN or using a secure gateway. I can see that I'm connected to another machine, and we take the metadata from the broker and we relate the two. So I'll quickly jump to this machine, but I'm going to come back in a second. So I can jump to this machine. So now I can see I'm RDP'd, and my RDP session is right down here, and this is the RDP session I'm in. It mapped me back to this machine, and it actually goes the other direction as well. So I could start out with the corporate name I know, because part of the problem with having work from home, if those devices are not corporately managed, you have a situation where the username could be Mattox Family, and it could be PC1. So I could start in the RDP session, the ICH session, and work the other direction to figure out where the bottleneck is. And then that way I can go back to the physical machine and check the Wi-Fi and see if that's part of the problem here. So if we jump back over to my machine, I can also, right now, again, I said we're in live mode. Every 3 seconds, I'm going to switch to DVR mode, which gives us the ability to look at a calendar and see what violations I might have had. If you notice, I've already have a ton of violations. When I'm on our VPN currently, because the distance, the latency is high and I set the thresholds low. And so if there's a very little latency, I want to know about it, and that helps with the demonstration as well. So I can see I have an orange line here, which is network. Color coding applies. It also tells you what it is. I also can go back to, well, I had the problem last week in a certain day. I could go back to that day. But what's really neat is when I look at certain days of the week, I may not have, let's see if we click on it. I didn't have any incidents here. There's no violations on these hours. I would not look at these hours unless I really had to for some reason, if it was I was doing research or investigation. There's no violations here. So I can click back and go back to 6 a.m. And now I get a YouTube style bar that's updating, buffering, just like YouTube. I can fast forward, I can skip, and if I had some breaks here, I could jump to right where the issue is and drop it in. But if I scroll down, what's gonna be the problem? My latency. So this user might have had their email stuck in the outbox. They might have had bad mouse performance, a lot of stuttering when they were typing. That's because I got a lot of latency on my VPN connection or my Ethernet connection at home or my Wi-Fi at home. I can see right where the issue is. Now, the other metrics will highlight as well. If I have high CPU or high memory per process, but also overall CPU consumption also could highlight. And so this helps you. I could go ahead and I could fast forward here. I could jump right to it. We can go ahead and fast forward and click play. And now we're just going to start playing through the data. I can watch the processes going by. It's going like 2x, right now. So when I troubleshoot in real-time mode or I'm troubleshooting in DVR mode, the admin experience is the same. There's no difference. It's not, no offense to other products, it's not a big spreadsheet of data out there. And I'm not waiting for a callback for the data. The data's here now. It's right now. I can get to the data now, whether it's past, really past or present. Can't say future just yet. We're not there. We're almost there. If we go to the task manager view, I can jump over the task manager view. It works the same. I can look at a task manager view of the data in DVR mode, as if I was over the shoulder of the end user looking at task manager. I could even sort by username if I wanted to not see system processes, or it's an RDS or XenApp server. I could sort by username. I could take a look and see, where were these, was it a service? So that's the actual service. Obviously I can't stop it in DVR mode, but we could turn off DVR mode and come back, and we could look at a service, and we could look and see a service, and we could stop services here as well. We can also see network starting and ending connections. So that's the real-time mode here. And the troubleshooting and the things we can do. Service view is here as well. So I can come into service view. Service view has stop, restart, but also delete. Delete is here, a little dangerous, but you can delete a service as well if you wanted to. And then we go to performance, some basic graphs like we had before, individual graphs that I can pull up and watch in real-time mode and see the different disk performance. Wi-Fi stats is nice to see on one graph. Take a look. I could turn this graph on and tell Susan to start walking around the house. Maybe she doesn't know where her Wi-Fi access point is, and then somebody doesn't know where their hardware is, and say, oh, it's right in that next room. So can you reorganize or get an Ethernet cable to get a better performance? Diagnostics is a fun area as well, and this is going to continue to grow. Part of the whole thing with this solution is everything is controlled by a role. You can build a role. You can take anything away from the interface that you see from a user. So if you don't want to give this type of PowerShell access because you don't want this user to go, do this on the CEO's machine, you could take this away from level 1 help desk. They don't need to see that potentially. It's too much power for them. So we're going to continue to expand and grow this area of the product where I can go ahead and just ping Google, because I'm, a lot of troubleshooting you're doing level 1 help desk because you just want to be able to ping something and see it respond. What's the latency to X, Y, and Z? What does that look like? Trace routing, different places. What's it look like when I trace route? What's the trace route going to be? And I can copy it out of here and paste it. I can see my routes, what's happening. Oh, I'm IPv6, so that's interesting. So I can see our network doesn't support IPv6. So we can take a look and understand that. And then I can do an IP config. We can do IP config all and see what's going on. I could do a speed test. I won't do that because it might mess up my audio for a brief second, but I can run a speed test using speedtest.net in the background. So we can do a performance, download and upload speeds. So you look at somebody, they're in a hotel Wi-Fi isn't always the greatest, depending where you go. They're having bad performance, like, hey, you're gonna have to use your phone as a hotspot. We just did a speed test. And the speed test is happening from that endpoint remotely, wherever it is in the world. That's where the speed test is happening from. at the end
Jason,
of the
we're
day.
getting a lot of questions. So what at some point,
Almost there.
feel free to take those.
Almost
Okay,
there.
thanks.
Yep. So then we go to the script store. Last kind of couple points as we get to the script store, which is really powerful within the product. We're going to publish a lot of scripts ourselves. No need to go to a separate website and download a script. It's in our script store. Because this is SaaS-based, we publish them. Can customers publish them, partners publish them? Not yet. We have to create those and make sure they're not malicious intent on those scripts. But we can come in and I can actually run, let's say we want to take a look at a, let's see, this one here. So we can see if there's any documentation for the script, we can see the source for the script. We can take a look at the source of the script. There's a change log for the script. It's following Microsoft best practices as well when we run this script. So we could go ahead and look at it. These are installed scripts. This is what's recommended. Let's go back over to here, and we can do a run here. Actually, not that one. Sorry, it looks like I'm missing one of the scripts I was looking for. Well, the point is when we click and run one of these scripts, we can come in and target a machine or user. So I could target a couple machines here that I want to run this against. And we could say 10, and we could submit. And we submit, it's going to go run on the machines, the two machines I just targeted. And then I can come into the listing. I would be able to come in and see real time, what's happening. Here's real time. That was a 10-second wait script there. Come in and see a 10-second wait. So if I was running a searching for registry key, I wanted to stop a service, I could see the output of the script real time in the result as it's happening. I can click off and still come back and see what happened as well, and see what happened when that script was run. So I'm able to see that thing as it occurs in real time and the results of that script real time. And this will evolve into actions and triggers here shortly, right around the beta time. And we will be able to do remediation, built-in remediation, but also remediation script detection and remediation script execution when a violation occurs based on our remediation thresholds built in or your own script. So the system is completely wide open end to end to be able to detect your own fault and apply your own solution. And the key thing is you can permission every one of these scripts. You do not have to give these scripts to every level 1 admin. You get to pick which ones they're able to run. Permissions are built from the ground up for the solution. Last thing I'll mention is if you're a level 1 admin and you want to customize this view, I don't understand certain things here, I can hide any of the metrics from the cards that I'd like to remove them to make it easier to see and understand. And I'll stop there. It's about everything in the product.